Welcome back to the channel. Today we will be talking about Rise of the Ronins story. It has a very deep and rich history that it's going to be using and implementing for the players to experience their own story within the Japanese history. And today I'm going to do a video that's going to be helpful for beginners and those that kind of know about the history as well. So everybody go ahead and lock on in. First and foremost, Rise of the Ronin is an open world game. You're going to be playing in 4 locations. You have 3 cities and then the countryside. And each of those areas as well will feature different factions. And we're going to talk about factions and break down more or less what you can expect. And one thing you got to understand that the samurai weren't the only deadly people of that time. There was some very great Buddhist monk warriors who also had great combat. And then, of course, the Western Front came through and brought their weapons and so much more into play. So you have a very deep, rich battle that's well documented in real life, the Boshin War. And today we're going to dive into helping you understand more or less what you can get from this game and why you should be interested in the story and in the gameplay as we go forward. One thing I'll note is that with my previous video, I talked about bonds and relationships with these different factions and how they will buff up your actual play, because you'll end up getting new weapons. You're going to be getting new upgrades and boost to your play styles that are going to be essential. And then on top of that, when it comes to the story, there's plenty of things that have multiple options throughout the story and multiple endings that are very interesting. Okay, so I want to take a moment to step back from the actual game and give you a little bit of history so you can understand what the factions and the different sides that you will be playing and going through in this game. Tons of stuff to get into, and I just want to use some actual visuals that I found and you can find from Google that will help you understand just a little bit. And so this is just a picture of pretty much the pyramid of power to a certain extent. And we're going to start off with the Empire. The Empire, aka the Imperial Court, and everything with this is pretty much like royalty. You can consider it royalty. They consider themselves descendants from God. And there's this long storyline behind that in real life where they became the rulers and the figureheads of power in Japan. But they had a very hard time staying in control, and it was very difficult for them to figure out what to do and how to go about it. So they ended up having to rely on various others from those times. And some of those various others, it's a long history, but they had the Buddhist monks, warriors, be their #1 companions to help them. The Buddhist monks were very religious, but then they had the warriors who were ready to fight. And what happened was the warriors wanted to take over. So all of a sudden, the imperial courts were very scared and they didn't want to fight against the monks because they had these religious beliefs and felt like they were going to go against God by fighting them. So they ended up hiring the people that we've heard a lot about and we know about in video games, which is the samurai. So the samurai have become very powerful because of the way things unfolded. They ended up becoming the powerhouse and actually also taking over in different sides of the story, which we won't get into the history of Japan, but I just want you to know that. So the samurai ended up becoming what they call shoguns. So all of a sudden, now you have these police-like forces who are the samurai, and they're also taking over the imperial courts, aka the empire. And it was a very weird time because both sides really didn't want to give up their positions, and they somehow had a relationship where the empire will stay in power but the shogun really were the ones running the show and in control of everything. So it was a little bit of a behind the scenes. People didn't know what was going on or what was happening. While all that is happening, there's internal wars, people also becoming anti-shogun, basically wanting to go against them to basically take over. And these shoguns basically hired, for example, samurai to help protect and continue to provide. In between of all that was what we know in this game as the samurai. I mean, the Ronin. Ronin are basically samurai, but they're freelance mercenary and they go by their own code. They don't follow any government. They don't follow any politics. They do what they want. And this is where in the game you will play a Ronin within this faction of trouble that's been happening with multiple different divisions from the Western Front who came over with guns and different weapons to the Shogun, aka the guys who hired the samurai, to the anti-Shogun who wanted to take them out and didn't believe in them anymore. And then the Empire as well. There's so many factions within play throughout the history. And in this game, you will be stuck in between all that as a mercenary getting hired to go do some odd jobs and to build different relationships. And what's cool about the storyline is that within these 3 cities and the countryside, on top of the story, you have side missions that you can complete, which will enhance your multiple endings, also enhance your playstyle by buffing up your weapons or unlocking new abilities and different things of that sort. What's amazing about the storyline is that this not only plays a role with the storyline, but your gameplay. So which faction will you choose? Are you going to be anti-Shogun? Are you going to be with the Shogun? Are you going to use the Western Front to get all of their firearm weapons? Are you looking to, do your own thing and split up from all of these guys? Or are you going to go straight to the royalty and help out the imperial courts? These are a lot of different questions and a lot of thoughts about what is possible in the game with some of the story. And today I'm trying to just give you a breakdown as simple as possible for those who probably don't know the history, the real life history. And that's what they're using in this game. And I tried to simplify it to give you guys an understanding of what the game has to offer. And it's so cool because in the end of the day, you're in the middle of what's the true real life Japan war, but this is your story as a Ronin, and you get to decide what you want to do, who you want to side with, who you want to go against. It's going to be some amazing boss fights, of course, a lot of great gameplay. And remember, this is a co-op game, so you can go and play with some friends and do everything together. So much more in this game. I do have an overview of the game, a combat guide, and relationship and bond building that I think you guys should go check out right after you watch this. And leave a comment. Tell me what you're thinking about this game so far. We appreciate you very much. Hope you enjoy. See you on the next one.